Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And I'm here today to talk about ways you can reduce plastic dependency in your kitchen. Now, I'm not talking about eliminating plastic altogether, because as you will see, some plastic has its place and that's just fine. I'm mostly talking about really trying to avoid plastic contact with your food, as well as trying to eliminate the kinds of plastics that you have to throw away constantly, with things that have only one or two uses and then you have to toss it. So I'm going to be talking about several different ways that you can use items that you can recycle or use again and again, while also trying to at least reduce the amount of plastic you're using in your kitchen. So as you can see, I have a pile of stuff here, but let's get started over here with the bowls and plates. So this, when I figured this out, it was such a lifesaver in time in so many ways, and even storage, that I did talk about it in another video. I think it was one of last year's kitchen tips and tricks. And that is, whenever you make up a bowl of something, let's say you're going to marinate some meat for a carne asada, like that video I did, I'll go ahead and link to down below, and you're going to do a big amount, or even you're marinating some meat because you're going to turn it into jerky. Instead of using plastic wrap, usually your larger dinner plates will fit perfectly over it like this. And the nice thing about being able to set it this way is that means, as you can see as I was dragging these out, you can also stack other bowls on top of them like so. So you can see this is a completely different bowl, yet this salad plate still fits perfectly on this bowl, and it also fits perfectly on this bowl as well. Here's the smallest bowl. These are the Corelle bowls. I love these things. And these are all Corelle plates, and they just happen to fit perfectly. But as you can see, this one here, I don't think that's a Corelle. It's just a really nice set that I bought at a garage sale. A lot of times I'll make my salads in this bowl, and then I'll make them early in the day and then put the plate over it and then stick it in the fridge. And then especially sometimes I'll make the salad a lot bigger, and I mean to, and it might take us a couple days to eat through it. So that makes it perfect. And then of course the same applies if you go with the more dessert plate size. As you can see, this is a salad plate and the dessert plate are a little different in size. Then the dessert plate will fit over Corelle's smallest bowl, and I'm sure any other kind of mixing bowl that you have that is that size. So you can not only save space and make life easier and reduce your plastic dependency and waste, you can stack all this stuff on top of each other, and it saves you room in the fridge. Because, you know, when you put plastic wrap over some things anyway, you don't really, there's not much you can set on top of it because it's so flimsy. It will sink into whatever you got. So this way, you don't have to worry about that. It gives you a rigid surface so you can stack things easily on top. So before I didn't really come up with this method entirely, because I remember some subscriber, somebody said, I think it was years ago in a comment, that they just put plates over their bowls. And I'm thinking, great. And I think it was on the video I did years ago about making a waxed fabric. And I did use that for a long time. And I liked it okay, but then still found it wasn't ideal, especially for everything. So I haven't used it in a long time. But before I started using the bowl and plate idea, I did invest in some good snap lock. These are snap lock and these are Pyrex containers. So the lids are plastic because it's kind of hard to have glass lids for something like this. But in most cases, the plastic is barely going to be touching your food, if at all. So I'm not really concerned about that. And either way, the plastic and the glass are both reusable. Snap lock ones, I haven't been able to find the link to the full set that I got years ago because they're always changing it up. But what I'll do is I'll put a search link in the description box down below for the snap or glass lock, whatever it's called. Snapware glass lock is I always mix it up. And I have the set, I have 2 or 3 full sets, and it comes with the rectangle container that's bigger than this, as well as one that's smaller than this. And then same thing with the round ones. It actually has just 2 different sizes of the round ones. This is the smaller, and then there's a larger one. And I used to, when Patrick was working outside the home, I used to make up as lunches, and I would be able to fit a lot of the stuff, like if it's a main dish, whether it be like a homemade casserole of some kind, I could put that, or even a soup, in here, and then, you know, pack a banana, whatever else with his lunch. And then I could freeze these up and then just pull them out and pack them into his lunch. So that's why I had a lot of these. Same thing with these, is that made it something easy where I could just make up his lunches ahead of time, make up a whole bunch with whatever leftovers we had, and freeze them, and then just pull them out as needed. So they were perfect for that. So you can freeze and refrigerate and even cook in these without the plastic lid, of course. And so then there's always canning jars. As you can see here, I've got crackers. This is a package I just opened up of crackers. And then just to make it easier, I just started, whenever I open a package of crackers, just put them in a jar. And that just makes it so much easier. You don't have to worry about getting crushed. And it also makes it easier to get in and out of, especially if you put a silicone liner inside your lid like that. That will also keep them fresher. And then I do a lot of freezing in jars. Now this I recently pulled out of the freezer because this is a blend of some currants and blueberries from either 2019 or 2020. I needed to make some room in my freezer, so I pulled a couple of jars of these out because I got to put more of the same kind of stuff from this year back in, and I thought, well, it'd make more sense for me to pull the old stuff out and get it used, so I'm going to make some jam. But anyway, most of the berries that I pick from our own garden go into jars, either quart jars or pint jars like this. And then my snow peas, they get frozen up into even smaller jars, the half pint jars, because those are the perfect size for adding to any kind of meal, usually stir fries. So as the peas are coming in, I pick them every day and then fill up a half pint jar and then freeze it. If you already have canning jars, I don't know if they're cheaper than these kind of containers right now. You might be able to get some, but if you already have a bunch, that's going to be a lot cheaper than having to invest in this kind of stuff here. All right, let's move on to the bags. I first want to talk about these bags right here. I have these thawing out. I have 4 big bags of rhubarb from this year that I froze up for the purpose of getting some rhubarb wine started, which I plan to do tomorrow. And so these ones I had bought thinking they were silicone. They have 3 different sizes. You know how you do it? You do a search for silicone bags, and then you see something, go, oh, that looks perfect, and you buy it, and you didn't actually pay attention that didn't actually say it was silicone in the ad. But I'm still using them, and it's going to be a lot more sturdy than buying those plastic Ziploc bags that typically, if I freeze with them, even the freezer bags, I only get 1 use and then I have to toss them. And I'm done with Food Saver. I used to do Food Saver and I would reuse the bags as often as I could, but eventually you still have to toss them. Now, the thing I do like about these is that they have the 3 different sizes. They have the 1 gallon size, and then this real small size, and then this kind of in-between size. And so I'll have different uses for those. I like these small ones like this for freezing up sliced carrots or anything that I just need a little bit of, and maybe I don't want to do a bunch of jars, or I'm running out of space in my freezer to be stacking jars. I love the jars and I love the way I can stack them neatly in my freezer, but there's certain places where you can put bags that you can't put jars. So if your space is limited, bags might be the way to go. Now, the better bags than these, though, are these silicone ones here that I've been getting from Cocoa Stripes. Now, she was kind enough to go ahead, and it was her idea to set up an affiliate with me so that if you go through the link that I'll put down below, you can save, I think it's 10% on your order by going through that link. And plus that helps us out because we earn a little bit of the commission from that. And that wasn't even my idea, that was hers. And so I really appreciate that. She's a great lady. These are definitely going to be more expensive though than these other ones here, because these are better bags. They're heavier. They're likely going to last longer. You don't have to worry about a zipper that's going to wear out on you, because it has the little grooved edges here and then this acrylic bar that you slide across here. And the more I use these, the more uses I find for them. Now they come in 4 different colors and 2 different sizes. So you have this size here, which would be comparable to this one here. And then there's the bigger one. Now it's not as big as the 1 gallon bag, which is why I'm glad I still have these for doing this kind of stuff, at least in where I need something bigger. But most of the time, these 2 sizes here are what I'm going to use mostly anyway, and I'm very, very happy with them. I bought them mostly for using in the freezer, but then I found that I really like using them in the refrigerator. So, you know, as long as the skin is on the onion, you can keep the onion in there just without a bag or anything. Once you cut into that onion, you really want to put it into something. And so I like to keep my cut onions in these. And then I also like to store my carrots. So when I get another order from Misfits Market, you know, I'm getting the carrots in, they go in a bag like this. That makes it a lot easier. And anything else you need to store like that. That way, these things I can put in the produce drawer and it doesn't take up as much room as a jar would. So there's places where the bags are going to be have a lot more use to me than the jars, and vice versa. So I like having all these different methods. And then you can see right here, these are little snacks for the baby that I took out of the original containers and then just mixed them together because there's 3 different ones in here. And yeah, I did kind of splurge and buy some of the organic Happy Baby snacks because he really likes them. And so I've got some little yogis in here and some little creamies and some little puffs. And so I'll just give them a small handful of these every so often as a snack. And then I've got them all mixed together and I can just, you know, keep them in this nice silicone bag to keep them fresh. You could still do this with a mason jar though as well, but I'm liking the bag idea a lot better. And plus, when you're talking about, like, let's say you're going to go on a picnic or something, this is going to be better, as not only is it going to be lighter weight than a jar, it's something that you don't have to worry about breaking in your backpack or your tote, whatever it is that you have. So just another great reason to have some bags like this. So again, I highly recommend these silicone bags. And I did do a demonstration in one of my this and that videos that I filled one of these up with water because somebody was asking. Now, I personally don't see storing like full liquids in it, like soups and stuff. I'll use my jars for that, but you can use that for that. If you got that on there real tight and make sure there's nothing embedded, nothing stuck between these edges here, you can put a liquid in here and it should hold for you. When I did it on the video, I put water in there and I tried tilting it, and the only water that came dripping off of it was the water that I had got from on the outside of the bag. And I tried squeezing it and no liquid came out. So that was my liquid test there. I've got all kinds of stuff in my freezer using these bags, and I've got a bunch of stuff in my refrigerator, and in fact I have another shipment coming in because I'm so happy with them, and with a lot of my produce coming in and also the Misfits market things that I'm getting, I want to make sure I have plenty of things that I can keep storing and then find better ways to organize. Now I want to come back to the jars because I forgot one thing about the jars is that this size here is also really good for if you cut a lemon or a lime in half, you only need half of it, then they fit perfectly in these little jars like this. And you can use your regular metal canning lids, but when it comes to storing in the fridge, I prefer using the plastic lids like this, just for ease if it's something you're getting in and out of. Now, if I'm freezing it, I will then put the canning lids on there. Usually when I'm filling the jar, I'll use the plastic until I've got the jar full. Then once I got it full, I'll put the regular canning lids on it and then store it in the freezer. But for daily use, the plastic lids are nice. And then the other thing is these jars are good for, you know, storing little treats for the baby. Like I've got another jar in there that's got little cut up strawberries from our garden. And then the number one reason I went and bought some more of these jars. Now these are just the cheap ones made overseas because the other ones have gone up so high in price, and I really needed to get some more jars in, was for my eggs. So I freeze my eggs in the jars, and I did take some out and try some, and they were great. So from now on, I'll be using the jars for freezing up 2 eggs at a time. I scramble them and freeze them. We all have our different ways of egg preservation that we prefer. I'll go ahead and put the video link down below where I talk about the different ways to preserve eggs. And my personal way is to freeze them in 2s scrambled because I have many uses for them like that. Again, I use the regular canning lid when I'm freezing them up. So the little half-pint jars are perfect. But anyway, when I did my last order, some people were asking where I got all these colored lids because they see them in some of my videos now. It just so happened that those ones, I was able to get a good pack, and they came with silicone rings. Not only did they come with canning lids, which I didn't buy them for canning with, that's why I wasn't that concerned about it, and I don't know if I'll ever try those lids for canning, but they also came with the plastic storage lids and the silicone rings to make them leak proof. So it was worth it to me. And if you're interested, I'll go ahead and give you the link down below. But again, they're not, unlike the ball jars, they're not made here in the United States, unfortunately. I wish they were, but I needed the jars right away because I had more eggs coming in and I was running out of these small jars. So I had to get what was there, and that was the best price I could find where I was getting a good amount of jars with the lid. So anyway, many different ways you can use jars of all sizes, even your quart jars. I have a lot of videos on storing dried goods in jars, but I'll go ahead and link to the more recent one I did on the cereals. But I store nuts, chocolate chips, anything that's dried, dried meats, anything in my mason jars in the pantry. So lots of uses that way that help get you away from plastic and give you something that's reusable so that you're also not having so much waste. And don't forget, you can also use recycled jars for lots of things, whether it be recycled green olive jars like I tend to have a lot of, because if I ever happen to get into Costco or they carry them on the online store again, I love the green olives that they carry in the bigger jars. And now those are what I use for vacuum sealing my different nuts in. So I've got walnuts, pistachios, almonds, all that kind of stuff. And so you can use those for food storage too if you can't afford to buy mason jars, but you have all these jars you can reuse. Use those for storage, even for just keeping things in the fridge or for freezing in. So even if you don't have a way to vacuum seal, those are still ways that you can recycle and be able to reduce your plastic dependency. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.